Hey there, fellow parents. Welcome to the Real Life of Parenting podcast, where we're all about embracing the chaos, sharing the laughter, and navigating the roller coaster ride of parenthood. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jenna.
And together, we're your co-pilots on this adventure.
Each episode will dive into the highs and the lows and the hilariously unpredictable moments that make parenting the wild journey it is.
So get ready for real stories, genuine conversations, and a few parenting hacks along the way. Whether you're dealing with diaper disasters or celebrating those small victories, we've got your back.
So buckle up, hit play, and let's embark on this parenting odyssey together. This is The Real Life of Parenting, where every episode is a reminder that you are not alone in the beautiful chaos of raising little ones.
Hello and welcome back to the Real Life of Parenting podcast. As always, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jenna.
And today we've got a interesting topic, setting boundaries. So, as not everyone always does, we are going to be discussing boundaries, what it means, what kind of stuff you can do in order to prepare your family maybe for when your newborn comes, maybe when you got like a little kid and you're like, you know, freaking out, you're trying to figure it out.
Trying to get settled into a new routine.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, I think we'll share a little story or two here about our little ones. They're starting to be a little bit cute.
Yeah. So like last night, they usually get a bedtime snack, each of them, just to keep them fuller for longer is kind of the reason for that at night. But last night, they both sit beside each other in their booster seats, and I think they were having honeycomb or something at the snack time. Sorry, and Lily started to like lean over to give Liam some of the honeycomb as if she was like sharing, and it was like the cutest thing. And then they started a game where like if they would drop it, it became like the funniest thing ever.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like they're deliberately like reaching over.
Yeah. Well, it was Lily would be like this, and then Liam would kind of grab it, but then drop it.
And then we would be like, oh.
And then Lily would laugh her ass off. And I think that's why he was doing it. I think he was getting a kick out of her laughing. Yeah. And then he started laughing. And
then also our reactions, because we were like, oh, you dropped it.
We're like, uh-oh, you dropped it.
Yeah, that was super cute. And then tonight, it was like exact opposite. Like yesterday was like sharing, and sharing is caring.
I was watching the whole time. Like Lily started out because Liam absolutely loves toast and peanut butter. And so that's what they had tonight. They had toast and peanut butter, and Lily was grabbing the little pieces of toast and handing them over to him. And then like at one point she just started going like this. Liam reaches out and she's like, nope, this is mine.
So cute.
Yeah, they're little buttholes to each other sometimes, but sometimes they're so cute, and it's just...
Or like Liam will be like crying or screaming or whatever, and like Lily will just savagely make fun of him and go... And, like,
she doesn't do the whiner, but she'll do this.
And then she'll look at you and smile, and you're like... You just give her that look. Like, that's not very nice.
Lily, like when she's starting to throw tantrums now, Liam finds it funny. He starts laughing. Like, we're like, buddy, you can't laugh at her. And you're trying not to laugh because he's laughing. And you're like, you can't laugh because she's crying. You can't make fun of her. And it's like... She does make fun of you when you're crying.
Yeah. And then we're like trying to get through this tantrum, and he's laughing, and it's like, okay, hopefully she doesn't think this is a good thing. And we're trying to tell her, no, like, you're fine. And then he's laughing, and you're like,
okay. Kids are kids.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Forgot to mention, hope you guys got your
glass of wine.
Glass of whatever you drink if you don't enjoy the alcohols. Yeah. Whatever it is that you like to do.
Yeah.
And sit and relax.
Bit of an afternoon with
maybe you're listening to us while you do the dishes or clean the floors or do something, or you're laying in bed like trying to forget about some screaming that's been going on all day. You want to hear about ours.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go.
All right. So setting boundaries. I think it's important to understand why you need to set boundaries. And we're gonna mostly be referring to about like that early period where you're bringing your baby home. Your family might be meeting them for the first time. So we're going to be focusing on that mostly. However, setting boundaries is very important once you have kids, even beforehand, throughout basically your whole life, and making sure everyone kind of understands where you're at. And I think that's an important thing to have.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the boundaries I think that most people had, maybe pre-COVID, but definitely through COVID, is no kissing of the newborn babies. Just because the babies can catch literally anything when they're that young, and it affects them so much more than it would affect an adult. I mean, their little bodies, it's a lot harder for them to fight off things that, let's say, they haven't been vaccinated for yet.
There's many diseases that they're prone to. Now, obviously, like, the first reaction you always have when you have a newborn baby is you want to kiss it, you want to love it, hold it close, kind of thing. And it's like, that's what your mom's gonna want to do, your mother-in-law's gonna want to do, your sister, your anyone really, right? Like,
yeah, your immediate family, brothers, sisters.
Setting that boundary beforehand, saying like, hey, just remember, don't kiss them, they're very vulnerable. That's an important conversation, I think, to have specifically.
That's actually one of the conversations that we didn't have with our family. And I mean, neither one of our kids got sick, thankfully, but I think it's definitely an important thing to bring up with your like with your child's grandparents and uncles and aunts and stuff like that, prior to having the baby.
I think like on top of the kissing too, right? Like, some people are like, you go like the full anal route, you know, make sure you wash your hands, you got to sanitize, you got to do whatever. Whatever it is you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable with them kissing your baby, you got to understand you're taking on that possibility that your baby could catch like a good illness.
Sick.
But we understand, like, with these topics of setting boundaries, there's always two sides, and it's usually like you're one side or the other. And we're going to try and play both sides.
On both sides, yeah, exactly.
And talk about both sides and maybe see both sides' point of view. Because we're not trying to single anyone out, but it's just understanding, what are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable with your in-laws kissing your baby and whatnot? Who, like, are you like, is it a big deal? To me, it never used to be such a big deal. To Jenna, probably a little bit more.
A little bit more now.
My sister, even with her new one, she was the kissing was like a thing. So she was definitely against it.
Yeah, and I know with my sibling, like, they're going to be pretty strict on that.
Are they? Yeah.
So I mean, and I respect that.
Yeah. So it's whatever you're comfortable with, and I think opening your mouth and talking about it might not have been the best words to say, but just communicating that would be the best thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, even especially, COVID's kind of opened our eyes to it, but sicknesses. But if, like, they're just getting over a cold, flu, anything, they could have had a bad cold. They could have been carrying the RSV vaccine, or not vaccine, but the virus itself. And babies are very prone to that. And it's very dangerous. And so if you have family coming over and they're like, hey, yeah, we just got over a cold, like, maybe they should stay for like another 2 days at home or something, right? Like, stay just a tad longer away from you.
Because even though you're just getting over a cold, doesn't mean you're not sick. So if you still have a cough, you still have a runny nose, I know with colds, you are still contagious. Like, even if you are feeling better, you are still contagious, and you can get people sick.
100%. Like, we're obviously not medical professionals, but I mean, use your best judgment. It's your kid. Ultimately, you're going to be the one staying up with them when they're sick all night long. You're the one trying to get them to do what they need to do, all that stuff. And it's just about taking care of them and letting them understand, like, trying to teach them, I guess, would be the best way that
Yeah, and like we obviously understand that kids are gonna get sick, especially once you get into like the toddler phases where they're in daycare, they're going to school.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna get sick, yes.
Yeah.
But it is kind of nice to be able to prevent that as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be possible to prevent everything, but just to,
I think the thing with that is when they're a baby, like a especially newborn, they have like no immune system.
yeah.
So once they get into the toddler years, they start developing a better immune system. They've gotten vaccines, so relatively a lot of the stuff they'll kill you, they won't get. I said relatively, so like they can still get sick, they can still get whatever, but at that point they're going to be getting sick often.
And
And they're going to be
even if you don't get your kid vaccinated, like if you're against vaccinations, that's fine too. It just, you know, it may take them longer to fight off certain sicknesses.
Do you ever hear about like, you know, if you don't get your kid vaccinated, that's your choice. They're not allowed in schools and stuff like that. But do you ever hear about like when the anti-vax stuff for like everything was going big? There was an uptick in the, was it the polio virus? Like something that's been completely obsolete and non-existent
Yeah.
for the last like 60 or 80 years, like all of a sudden started spreading up again.
Yeah.
Like these are super life-threatening sicknesses that we have vaccines for. Like they're legit things, not like the COVID where there's a lot of data now that suggests that it was not very good for a vaccine.
Yeah.
And it was actually dangerous to us.
Yeah. But I mean,
That's
I
a different
think,
topic.
yeah, like I think even the point of like the vaccines and stuff like that, like for like the visitors, like it's just more or less just make sure you're again washing your hands, sanitizing before you're touching these babies.
Yeah.
Because they are super, super, super vulnerable.
Yeah, the one thing I was reading about was a lot of people don't have their vaccines. Like a lot of older individuals don't have the vaccines that were given as kids, so that they can be carrying those viruses and they can catch them and become contagious, right? And so you have this newborn baby that's susceptible to everything, and
Yeah.
these people could possibly be carrying stuff. So it's more for the grandparents, I think, making sure they have all their appropriate vaccines.
Yeah, exactly.
That was something that was interesting when I was reading it. And there was a
Yeah.
lot of people were talking about it. Went down the one Reddit post and like a lot of people were mentioning it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. Another thing that I think we need to kind of discuss is you're going to be a newborn mom. Let's say you're in the breastfeeding role, and you're going to have visitors over. Okay. So what you do for breastfeeding is up to you. It's your house. You choose what you want to do. Do you want to go to a room and be private? Do you like your privacy? Do you like not just having people stare at you? Are you comfortable with just whipping, I'll say it, whipping your tits out and just like being like, whatever, I don't give a fuck who's here.
Yeah.
I'm going to feed this baby right here, right now. I don't care.
Either way, that's fine.
Yeah. I would say it would be common courtesy to at least allow the people to understand that are coming over. Be like, listen, I will feed my baby anywhere and you'll probably see my boobs.
Yeah.
Just at least warn them, tell them, so not like you don't whip it out and they're just like, whoa.
or like the other thing is like I see, like I used to be afraid of breastfeeding in public or like even in the car.
Yeah.
But like what made me kind of get over that is like I always had some kind of blanket, receiving blanket, their crib blanket or sheet. I would always cover up in the car, or even when we had guests over, I would cover up, or I would try to respectfully
Yeah.
cover up. But like I wasn't only doing it for me, I was also doing it for the baby. Like so that the baby had like, you know, no distractions around her. And it was like I said, it was respectful towards, you know, my in-laws, but also respectful to the privacy and to the focus of like my baby, because my baby would get very, very distracted very, very easily, and she would always pop off wondering like what's going on, whatever. So when I covered up, she actually stayed on a lot more and a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I found that a lot more helpful. So I always tried to cover up as much as I
Yeah.
could. But yeah, like guests are guests.
Yeah.
So you do you. If you want to whip out tits, that's fine. Go right ahead. We're not,
Yeah.
you know,
If you're like, if you want to keep your privacy
privacy,
private, then
you
you
know, go
do
to a
whatever.
quiet room or whatever you do.
Yeah. So that's something to just think about when you're
Yeah.
having your family or guests over, or people you would normally not. Whoops, I'm not even in here. I'm already spilling myself. Yeah. So what I was saying was, just kind of give them the expectation if you're planning to just pull it out on your couch. It might come to a shock to them. Realistically, it's your body. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
They'll probably respect it, understand it, but probably nice to just give them a heads up. Like,
Yeah, just so you know she's hungry.
yeah, I'm gonna be pulling them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some people are just comfortable with whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's completely normal.
Yeah, like I said, you do you.
Yeah.
Guests are guests. You are, you know, your baby's parent, so you get to call shots.
Yeah, that's it. And talking about being the baby's parent, something that can get on your nerves, especially with other like parents, in-laws, all that good stuff, is when they start trying to parent your kid for you.
Not even that. Even when you're out in public, or like that time that I had Liam at the hairdressers, and he was just an absolute nightmare. Like the one of the hairdressers there, even like it's not even just that. It's like just anybody in general, like trying to parent your child
Yeah.
in front of you is annoying.
Yeah. Like Liam was kind of like freaking out at the hairdressers, and would you say the hairdresser came over and held his arms or something?
Yeah, and grabbed his. I
Like
literally
another hairdresser, not even like.
Yeah, just because he kept putting his hands like on his head where
Yeah.
they were like trying to cut. Like obviously, yeah, you don't want him to do that, but like she came over and like grabbed his arms and like put them down to his sides and like basically restrained him there. And I literally told her, I was like, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
I said he's been through a lot. Let me parent. This is why I'm here.
Yeah. But that's a big one. That was a complete stranger. And then
But on the other side of things, when you're at home with family,
yeah, and it's just like they're trying to do all the things that you're doing, and like it just makes you feel like maybe I'm not good enough.
maybe I'm not.
Maybe they
doing it
don't think I'm
right.
doing it right. Maybe they don't think I'm doing a good job, kind of thing, or that you're just not doing it their way.
Yeah.
Having that discussion with family, it's a tough discussion, but it's going to be basically like, listen, it's my kid. I'm parenting them this way. I'm trying to do it this way.
You need to draw the line.
Yeah, 100%. You need to have a firm line. You need to say, this is what's up. I'm going to handle it. Listen, if they're being little assholes and you say, hey, don't be a little asshole, whatever, right? But, but if they're just like constantly on top of the kid, constantly like, are you okay? And are they okay? What's wrong? Are they okay? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that kind of can drive you a little mental. Or if they suggest a lot of the same things over and over and over, and you're like, listen, that's not how I'm parenting.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're like, this is what I'm doing it this way. You know what I mean? Like, it's especially when you get like old school mentality mixed with like newer kind of school, and like you just have that clash of different perspectives and different.
Yeah, and like the whole point of setting
Concepts.
boundaries is not to clash with your immediate family. It's literally just to set your limits, draw the line, and
Yeah.
just be able to parent your kid the way you want to parent your kid.
Yeah. That's an important one, because it's really stressful, and it doesn't make it a good time if like they're coming over and you're like, I don't like the fact that they're always up in our business, or always doing this, or always, on top of everything. And you're just like, trying to figure that out. Or maybe they play with the kid too much, or maybe they don't play with the kid enough. Those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's another thing. Like, if you are, you know, new parents to, let's say, like a second child, and your first child is like almost in his toddler years or in his toddler years, or vice versa, whatever your situation may be, and you have a second child, you should always kind of, like, if they ask you what do you need help with, tell them what you need help with. Don't be like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it, just relax, or, like, tell them what you need help with.
Yeah. So when you're having a newborn, when people are coming to visit because you have a newborn, family specifically, right? The big thing is you don't need help holding the baby, right? They don't need to come over and just hold the baby for you. If you want them to hold the baby and you want to go do chores or you want to do whatever, that's whatever. But the big thing is, like, if they're coming over and they're like, oh, do you need help with anything? And you're like, well, I haven't had the chance to do the dishes in like a week and a half, and I haven't had a chance to clean the floors. And it's like,
have like laundry in the washer that needs to be switched over to the dryer.
You've been hardly sleeping. You're holding this baby and you're trying to put them down, but they don't want to stay down. They just want to be held by you. And you haven't, the house is in shambles.
And then you also have a second child to worry about as well that needs the attention.
Yeah, you can always ask them to help you with some chores around the house, or
entertain the second child,
make some food, entertain the second child helps, or just anything, right? And it's up to you, whatever your personal preference is. Maybe you're completely fine with them holding the baby for you, and you're like, I want to get some shit done around the house.
Yeah, I need a break.
Yeah, I want to play with my other little guy here too, right? So there's both sides to that, where one way you can have them maybe help you around the house and get a couple things done so your house isn't an absolute
disaster,
tornado zone.
Yeah.
Or you can do it yourself. But that's kind of like an important thing about setting that kind of boundary, and asking family for help, I think, is a big thing.
Yeah.
But the appropriate help.
Yes.
Right? You don't want to have someone come over and all they want to do is just hold the baby for you. Or just sit there and talk to you, and you're just like,
but I need help.
I need help around here.
Yeah, and like honestly, I think like with Lily when she was a newborn, and like trying to get into a routine with 2 kids all of a sudden, like I really appreciated, like when your parents would come over, like they were so good. They would always be there. They were always, cooking or cleaning or doing something to, check off a box of whatever chores I needed done.
Yeah.
In that aspect, like
sometimes
really
they're the other way, right? Like sometimes they come over and do too much, and it's just like, can you come and just sit with us? Can you come and just sit and maybe play with the kids?
Maybe talk
like
with us.
I appreciate the fact that you're cleaning, but I want you to come and just hang out with
visit.
us.
Yeah. Just have a nice visit, have a coffee or tea. We'll have some munchies.
Yeah.
And just have a nice visit.
When your mom comes over, she usually plays with Liam.
Yeah.
And Lily now, I guess, a bit.
Yeah.
Like that's like a nice time to like get away for like
a
little bit, and I can do the dishes, or I can do something.
Or I can like vacuum or like do laundry.
It's like I just kind of like go and I just get stuff started right away. I don't know if she thinks I'm mean or anything like that.
No, I don't think so. But like sometimes I'm like, can you just, and like sometimes I don't even realize I do it. And like I think you've told me a few times like the dishes need to be done. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I'm like, can you just like visit for a second? Like,
yeah. So I mean, you can be a little guilty of it too, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is, like,
it does need to be done.
The dishes need to be done.
Yep.
You can do them if you want. I'll sit with the kids and your mom and talk and whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then like the other thing with like the visitors and helping and stuff like that, like one big thing, one of my pet peeves, fortunately it didn't happen with us.
Yeah.
But like I just remember like other stories from other people saying like, yeah, I never knew when we were getting visitors. I never knew when my family was come over. They would just show up, but they wouldn't tell us.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
That's
I wouldn't be able to handle that. I am a very like, tell me when you're coming. Like, what time are you coming? I don't mind if you come over. Just
Yeah.
tell me what time you're coming.
I
Because, like, I don't like when it's like, you know, they're just going to show up at 11:30, 12 o'clock. It's like, oh, great. Well, my kids just went down, but hopefully they
yeah.
stay down.
I'm the complete opposite. Like, so I can go with the flow, and I don't give two shits. Like, I could be like, oh, okay, yeah, you showed up, whatever. Like, come in, like, hang out. But
Yeah, I'm not.
I know you're very structured, and you're like,
I like a structure. I like to know what's going on at what time.
yeah,
And I think it comes with, honestly, with Liam being so scheduled. He was always on a schedule, and we're used to that. So, like, whenever that schedule gets changed, I get a little bit kerfuffled.
I was just thinking about it. Do you remember how scheduled we used to have to be with him? Mm-hmm. We used to have to. This is like my brain's hurting thinking about it. We used to have to give him a certain amount of formula per day with the fortifier in it. When we were mixing with breast milk, we eventually just went straight to formula because it was just
Formula
a pain in
and
the
whole milk
butt.
once he was on milk.
Yeah, so we had to give him a specific amount, and then we had to record how much he actually drank.
Yeah, and how much we dumped.
And this wasn't at the hospital. This is when we got home from the hospital. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then the rest had to go through the feeding tube.
Yeah.
And then after we were done with the feeding tube, we had to
Clean it out.
Yeah.
And, like, in the morning, first thing in the morning, we were giving him his vitamins and his
Yeah.
iron and stuff like that, and making sure it was still in his stomach for his feed. And, like, I remember we had to wake him up because he was such a good sleeper, and but it was also because he was always tired.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of stamina, this little guy. And I remember, like, the dietitian saying, okay, you need to get him up at 5 o'clock in the morning for one of his feeds. And it's like, he is so tired. He's not even feeding.
Yeah.
Like, he's so tired. So, like, eventually we just got rid of that one. But, like, after that, I think
We
it was
still had
like,
to make sure we made up for it.
yeah, like, give him a
Yeah.
little more in the bottle, like, throughout the day to make up for that lost feed. And it's like, if he's going to drink, he's going to drink. If he's not, he's not.
Yeah, that was our like life, and we did it. We were like feeding him 6 times a day by the time I think got rid of that
like
one.
2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was like right on the dot, right on the dot.
Because he was
right on
such
the
a good
dot.
sleeper. Not that he was a good sleeper. He just had like no energy at night. We got rid of his night feeds at like 5 months, maybe.
Yeah. And, we
And
were
like that kid's been sleeping through the night since
Yeah, it's
that
great.
long. That's completely sleep trained from the hospital. That's what's so sad about it.
it's sad, but it's like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
we had it easy with our nights with him.
Yeah.
From
But
the get-go.
we had the hardest with everything else with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave us
exactly.
one easy thing.
We had both, like, yeah, we've had both sides of the
But-
fence here.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that because I remember one of the most frustrating things after we brought Liam home was we have all this extra equipment, all these extra things, and then we're going to visit family all the time. Yeah. So we almost always have to make the trip. It's more rare to have family come out to us now. And the hardest part was like we had like probably 3 times the normal amount of stuff you'd bring to go see family, and we have to remember all of it.
When he was still on the
And
tube. Well, even when he was off
lists,
the tube.
yeah, tons of lists of all these different things that we had to make sure we had with us. And it doesn't get easier once you get a second child. Luckily now he's pretty normal,
Yeah.
and we're starting to get a little less and less of what we need to bring with us.
But
But-
we would literally be packing up like 95% of our house. Not even joking.
Oh, kind of joking.
Kinda joking.
Little over exaggerating.
Maybe a little exaggerated, but like,
Yeah.
no, like seriously though, it was
Yeah.
a lot.
We had to bring all the stuff for his formula, all the like stuff to add into it, all the
bottle warmer,
warmer.
and then also remember obviously the common sense stuff. So diapers, wipes, bibs, syringes, extra outfits if you need them. Like just
Yeah. All the above, right? Like it was like everything in the kitchen sink kind of thing.
yeah.
But then that's kind of like a thing to kind of set boundaries with your family. You know, maybe you're the kind of person that is introverted and you're like, listen, I got this new baby, and if you want to come see the baby, you're free to, but I'm not coming to you. Just be like, we want to stay in house. We want to just relax.
For the first couple, 2, 3, maybe even month,
Yeah.
right, to get into that
We want to
routine.
figure shit out before we start traveling. If you want to come visit, come visit. right? Or you might be the complete extrovert and say, "Hey, I've got this new baby, and I want to show everybody single like in the world my baby." Jen and I are both a little more introverted, so we're part of the latter option there. We like to stay in the house a little bit. We are open to anyone really coming to see us.
Yeah, our door's open.
They just
Always
gotta,
open.
they just gotta let us know, right?
Yes, exactly.
No
I
drop-ins.
know. Eh,
The one comment I saw was like, "No unannounced visits unless you're bringing me food and leaving." Like,
I mean, yeah, food helps.
yeah,
For sure.
food always helps. You can
Yeah.
always ask your guests to bring food if it's like you're early. Especially like if they want to make something big and you can freeze like half of it or something.
Your parents were awesome for making us food and stuff like that when we knew like we were expecting like Lily, stuff like that, and we were like not gonna have any time to like make supper for the first couple of months, 2 to 3 months with her and Liam.
Yeah, figuring it out was definitely a big change.
Yeah, so it was really nice to have like, 2 or 3 things of lasagna in the freezer or just easy options that you can throw in the oven is so convenient.
Yeah.
When you have 2 little ones. So.
Oh, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like little things to really think about when you're trying to set boundaries. And sitting down and maybe talking to your spouse, you have your baby coming and you're like, "Listen, there's some things that we need to figure out. Like, are we going to be traveling lots with this kid? Are we going to be staying home?" You could have pressures from in-laws, pressures from your own parents to be like, "Oh, you're going to come visit, or we're going to come out like the day you brought the child home," and you're like, no, I want to be alone with my baby for the first little bit.
Yeah. And I think with Liam, it was hard on us a little bit because we never really got to connect with him in hospital. So like we were just really in dire need of time alone with him.
Yeah.
When we got home. So like we set that boundary a little bit with him.
Yeah,
said, we wanted
did
at least 2 weeks, and plus there was so many things to remember with him, like with the feeding tube.
Yeah, his was a lot different of
It
a
was
situation,
a lot more
but
high maintenance
Yeah.
with Liam than it was Lily. But even with Lily, like we said, we don't, like, we're not going to be, well, I said, we're not going to be traveling too much or whatever. And then we ended up traveling quite a bit with her.
Yeah, we could have stuck to our guns a little more on that and discussed it. But setting boundaries is important for not only yourself, like, it is pretty much for yourself, but it's for your sanity, right?
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to have your baby and you've had your baby for 3 weeks now from the hospital or something, and you're just like fucking out to lunch, you're pissed right off, like exhausted, and like you're doing all these things that you're like, why am I doing this? Like, I just want to be at home with my baby. Or maybe you're like, I'm just tired of how this is going, or I'm tired of seeing my in-laws for 21 days straight. I don't know, right? Like,
you don't, like, we don't know your situation, but...
and like understanding like if you need space. So if you're
like, tell them.
Yeah. So and be completely honest. There's nothing worse than just like
beating around the bush,
putting it deep down. Just be honest. Don't be an asshole about it, but just be honest. Be like, "Listen, I love all the help that you're doing, but I don't want to see you for 3 weeks straight."
I need a break.
I saw this one thing, and it was like, this person was like, we lived like 2 doors down from our in-laws, and they're like, they were there every single day. And it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
like you love the help.
You do.
But at some point you're like, I can't
do this
anymore.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think everybody needs that mental break. And also you desperately need to just have that time with your baby. Because it's crucial from like 0 to I think age 6 is like they're the most developmentally crucial time in their life.
Yeah. Pretty much every single day is.
Well, but like just
I understand what you're saying, where it's like that's the point where they have the quickest development,
and they're learning so fast, and they're trying new things, and
they start being silly, and they start
developing their personalities.
Yeah, we know all about that, developing their personalities.
Yeah, Lily definitely.
She's got an opinion on everything.
She does not lack personality.
No, she does not.
She will tell you like it is, and you know what? That's okay.
Oh, she's been so needy lately too. Yeah. It's
But
like,
Liam's been super like vocal and
yeah, chatting
a
away.
little bit needy too, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
he's 2.5, so he's definitely in his terrible twos. I think he started those very early. Probably,
Yeah.
like 18 months. I think she's actually in her terrible twos right now, and she's not too.
I think it's more of a developmental thing. Like she's at the age now where she doesn't know how to express what she wants to say or wants to feel.
Yes, and babies want to be in control.
And everything is just coming out as anger, right?
Yeah.
So that's she only knows anger or laughter kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. And kids want to be in control of
yeah.
themselves. So it's like we're literally making a deal every morning with her. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, making a deal with the devil. You got to eat breakfast and then you can have your blanket back.
Yeah.
Because she always brings her blanket up to the table now. And she's very blanket obsessed. I think she has been since like she was a baby. Like a baby.
Yeah.
But like she's like very possessive over her blanket.
Yeah, she likes her blankie.
And if you try and take that away from her, it's like God help you.
You gotta do it smartly.
Yeah, like you're like bargaining with her in the morning. Almost every meal now she has a blanket with her and it's like away from you this time.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, get rid of the blanket and time to eat.
yeah. Or it's like she's clearly done eating and she won't give you the fork. Although every single night I hold out a wipe and I'm like, are you done? And she'll give me the fork and that's usually like a cue saying, yes, Mom, I'm done. But like now she's gotten into that habit of, yeah, I'm done, but I'm not going to give you the fork. But if you try and take it from me,
Yeah.
I'm going to like let you have it.
100%. She's crazy. I just said 100% again. We watched her old videos and noticed that we both say 100% quite a lot. Like 100% of the time.
So I'm trying to replace that.
I'm trying to replace it. Maybe not say it as much. Maybe say only 100%. Maybe like 98% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we going to be trying to work on next here for the episode? Well, first of all, I think we want to hear about any sort of boundaries that you might have set with your family.
Yes.
Or maybe boundaries that you were like, I should have set this boundary. I should have done this.
Yes.
I think it's beneficial for anyone having a kid soon or just thinking about it. And it's just things you don't think about, right? Like, I never thought about setting boundaries. Like, the fuck am I thinking about? Like,
It's like, yeah, sure, people can come over whenever. Like, whatever. It's
Yeah.
fine.
and it's just being honest with people. Like, in reality, talking to your family about that kind of stuff is definitely beneficial.
And honestly, if anybody gets mad about it, they're the parents. You're going to do what you're going to do. They're the guests. And if they don't like it, that's too bad.
Yeah.
They're going to have to respect it because it is going to be the way you want it to.
The way you want to parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like let us know like what you guys did for boundaries or like just said what you thought of doing but never did kind of thing, and you're like, oh, we should have probably done that. We'd really love to hear from
we love
you
hearing all the
guys.
feedback.
Yeah, or even like silly stories or anything like that. Like we love to hear from you guys.
Hopefully in the future episodes here, we got a few more episodes coming up. Hopefully next week we're gonna interview a friend, and she talked about a lot about mom rage, right? So we had last week's episode where we were talking about taking care of yourself, and so next week, we'll talk about her mom rage, maybe a little bit, maybe about some way she got over that, and
some of her parenting journey and her healing process and stuff like that from that.
In the future, we're looking at some other stuff. We'll go over some parenting stories that we hear about in the news or anything like that. We're gonna go from something stupid, fun, maybe silly, that kind of stuff.
That's the other thing. If any one of you has some kind of silly story or like a story that you're kind of like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, like you read in this paper, like kind of thing.
Like reach out and we would love to talk about it on our episode.
Send it our way.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. I think we're gonna do an episode on language development as well.
Yeah.
So we're still working on that one. For anyone that doesn't know, Liam does have a speech delay, so he's currently not speaking.
He babbles and whatnot, but he's not using his words yet.
No, he just hasn't. So we've been working on that for a while. So we're going to have an episode discussing about what you can do and all that good stuff about
Some
that.
tips and tricks, and we might have a special guest on that one as well.
Yeah, so we got a lot up here that we're trying to make happen. So
Yeah.
let us know what kind of stuff you might be looking forward to. What kind of stuff do you want to learn? What kind of stuff do you want us to talk about? Ask us questions. What's eating away at you? We want to hear it all.
Yes, we do. We want to hear it.
Yeah, we want
honesty.
this to be a community of people just trying to be better, and trying to educate, I think.
Yeah,
is a good
better
way.
parents, but also be able to relate to other parents' stories.
Yeah.
And possibly, take some tips and tricks from future episodes or even these ones.
Yeah, get rid of that feeling of aloneness for parents, right?
Yeah.
That feeling of like you're stuck in your house and there's no one that you can relate to. We want to get rid of that feeling.
Exactly. And maybe have some fun and laugh a little bit, cry a little bit. You never know. We're, like I said before, we're an open book and we want to hear all your guys' stories.
We want to.
Yeah. We really do.
But anyways, I think that's going to do it for today. So that was an episode talking about boundaries, setting boundaries, such as kissing your baby, whipping your tits out. I just wanted to say that again.
He's a male.
Yeah. Privacy and all that good stuff, right? Like how to approach your in-laws.
How to be respectful.
I think it's the best way, right?
For your family and yourself as well.
No one will get pissed off if you just explain yourself and
be respectful.
Yeah, be respectful. And just be honest.
I think that's it.
That's all.
Yeah.
All right. And as always, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jenna.
And this is the Real Life of Parenting podcast.
Cheers. Have a good night.
Good night.